नमस्कार। राजपथ नई दिल्ली से आपका स्वागत है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी यहाँ आपसे कुछ ही देर में एशियन मिनिस्टेरियल कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑन डिजास्टर रिस्क रिडक्शन यानी AMCDRR का उद्घाटन करेंगे। ये कॉन्फ्रेंस सेंडाई फ्रेमवर्क अपनाने के बाद पहला प्रमुख अंतर सरकारी आयोजन है जो एशियाई क्षेत्र में इस फ्रेमवर्क को सफल बनाने की कोशिशों को दिशा देगा और साथ ही में ऐसे तंत्र के बारे में विचार विमर्श करेगा जो कि हो रहे कार्य की प्रगति पर निगरानी रख सके। Representatives of United Nations International Strategy for Disaster Reduction, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and mayors from all parts of Asia Pacific countries are participating in this 3-day meet. Nearly 4,000 people, including 1,100 foreign nationals, are attending the conference. The conference will adopt a Delhi declaration that will set goals and strategies for a 15-year roadmap for disaster risk reduction in the Asia-Pacific region. Established in 2005, AMCDRR is a biennial conference jointly organized by different Asian countries and the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction. India has also hosted the second AMCDRR in New Delhi in 2007. The aim of this conference is to pave the way towards the implementation of this framework in the Asian region. India also looks forward to bringing about innovative ideas to devise a mechanism for monitoring its progress and to accelerate its regional implementation. By the hosting of this conference, India renews its commitment to the Sendai framework to pursue a resilient and sustainable future of all citizens. As a part of this conference, various DRR-centric activities have been organized here to spread awareness about disaster risk reduction and its role in safeguarding lives, livelihoods and infrastructures. These activities include a national level painting competition for school children aged 10 to 14 years. There will also be a short films competition and an exhibition to showcase best practices in DRR. A wonderful way to create awareness about disaster risk reduction. And we have children who are differently abled but equally aware of the importance of this occasion and what it is all about. The winners of the painting competition will be felicitated by the Minister of State for Home Affairs, Shri Kiran Rijiju, later today. And the winners of the short film festival will be felicitated during the closing of the conference. A very serious subject that is being discussed and worked upon during this conference, but the atmosphere here is very colorful. The sense of vibrance here, and where the children express their feelings through their paintings and pictures. We can see the colors of the national tricolor, reiterating India's commitment to this very important cause. The commemoration of the first World Tsunami Awareness Day to spread awareness about the dangers of tsunami and the importance of early warning systems in mitigating its impact will also be held tomorrow, that is on the 5th of November. The significance of this day, the 5th of November, to tsunami awareness can be traced back to the year 1854. A villager in Japan was concerned about an impending tsunami after a high-intensity earthquake on the 5th of November 1854. He set up a fire to rice sheaves on the top of a hill. Fellow villagers who were there put off the fire and were saved even as a tsunami destroyed their village below. This was the first documented instance of a tsunami early warning. To commemorate that day of Inamura no Hai, or the burning of rice sheaves, a resolution was jointly proposed by 142 countries, including Japan, as a follow-up of the third UN World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The United Nations designated the 5th of November as World Tsunami Awareness Day. Awareness-raising activities are being organized throughout the conference through thematic events, exhibitions, and distribution of awareness materials. Following the devastating Indian Ocean tsunami of 2004, the Government of India established an Indian Tsunami Early Warning Center under the Indian National Center for Ocean Information Services at Hyderabad. The center, operational since 2007, has state-of-the-art infrastructure for generating and disseminating tsunami bulletins for the entire Indian Ocean region. The Honorable Home Minister Shri Rajnath Singh, the Honorable Minister of State for Home Affairs Shri Kiran Rijiju, other officials waiting for the arrival of the Honorable Prime Minister of India Shri Narendra Modi, who will inaugurate this conference. Arrival of the Prime Ministerial motorcade, the Honorable Prime Minister of India Shri Narendra Modi being warmly greeted as he has arrived here to inaugurate the Asian Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction 2016. This conference and its outcome will impact the Asia-Pacific region and will also have a positive global impact. And that is why we see delegates here from 61 countries in the Asia-Pacific region and over 4,000 Indians from various NGOs and other organizations that are active in this field. By the hosting of this conference, India renews its commitment to the Sendai framework to pursue a resilient and sustainable future for all citizens of the world. As the chief guest arrives on the dais, we hand you over to the activities there.
Welcome to our Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, to this event. May I also extend a very warm welcome to His Excellency Mr. Kurelsuk Ukna, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Mongolia, His Excellency Mr. Bimlendra Nidhi, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Nepal, our Honorable Home Minister, Shri Rajnath Singh, Shri Kiran Rijiju, Honorable Minister of State, Home Government of India, Shri Hansraj Gangaram Ahir, Honorable Minister of State for Home Government of India, Mr. Robert Glasser, Special Representative of the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Toshihiro Nikai, Secretary General, Liberal Democratic Party, member, LDP Japan, and Shri Rajiv Maharishi, Home Secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, before we commence the inaugural session, we would like to extend an extremely warm welcome to our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, to this occasion with a floral welcome. A very warm welcome to you, Honorable Prime Minister. Thank you so much for gracing this occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, it is customary in the Indian tradition to light the ceremonial lamp to invoke divine blessings before new and auspicious beginnings. May I please request our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, to kindly light the ceremonial lamp, and may I also request our other esteemed dignitaries on the dais to kindly join in the lighting of the ceremonial lamp. Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister and esteemed dignitaries, for the lighting of the ceremonial lamp. Ladies and gentlemen, this first Asian Ministerial Conference for Disaster Risk Reduction after the advent of the Sendai framework hosted by the Government of India is a follow-up from the 6th Asian Ministerial Conference Outcome 2014, and as a requirement of the Sendai framework, the intended outcome of the conference in India is to adopt an Asian regional plan for implementation of the Sendai framework. AMCDRR 2016 will provide a unique opportunity to shape the implementation and monitoring of the Sendai framework in Asia. AMCDRR 2016 is organized by the Government of India in collaboration with the United Nations International Strategy for Disaster Reduction. Acknowledging India's commitment towards disaster risk reduction, the UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction has designated Shri Kiran Rijiju, Honorable Minister, as a disaster risk reduction champion for the Asia region. With these words, may I please request Honorable Minister of State for Home, Shri Kiran Rijiju, and request him to kindly make his welcome remarks.
Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister Republic of Mongolia Mr. Khulesuk, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Nepal Sri Bimalendra Nidhi, Honorable Home Minister Sri Rajnath Singh ji, Mr. Toshihiro Nikai, Secretary General LDP of Japan, Mr. Robert Glasser, Special Representative to United Nations Secretary General, Sri Hansraj Ahir, Minister of State for Home, Sri Rajiv Mehersi, Home Secretary, Excellencies, Governors, Chief Ministers, Ministers, representatives of United Nations, international organizations, senior officials, media, distinguished guests. On behalf of the Government of India and the people of India, I welcome all the distinguished delegates and representatives. It is indeed a great honor and privilege for Government of India to host the first Asian Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction after adoption of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015 to 2030 by 187 countries at the World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction in Sendai, Japan in 2015. The Asian Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction 2016 will provide a unique opportunity to shape the implementation and monitoring of the Sendai Framework for Asia. On behalf of Government of India, I am thankful to the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction for their continuous support in organizing this conference and express my sincere gratitude for acknowledging India's efforts in disaster risk reduction and designating me as disaster risk reduction champion for Asian region. In the last few decades, Asia-Pacific region has experienced exponential increase in disasters. These have often hampered the achievement of development goals. The harshest impact is often on the most vulnerable and marginalized people. The impact of natural disasters has been growing rapidly due to global population growth, urbanization, and increased social economic activity, with a tenfold increase in losses from disasters since 1970. Sendai is a forward-looking and ambitious framework aimed at reducing the number of people damaged to critical infrastructure from disasters by 2030. Successful implementation of Sendai framework at the national and local level calls for critical attention to its guiding principles and 7 global targets. Countries will need to adopt the guiding principles while prioritizing action towards 7 global targets. This will entail creation of an enabling environment at all levels towards effective and accelerated implementation of the Sendai framework with the collaboration and cooperation of all governments and stakeholders. India is amongst the first countries to frame National Disaster Management Plan under the able guidance of Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji. Our endeavor in the National Disaster Management Plan is to take all the stakeholders along in our effort to build a resilient India. We believe that while governments have to play a central role, civil society organizations, professional bodies, scientific and technical institutions, and private sector have very important role to play in this effort. We need to move from disaster management to disaster risk management approach and to look at it as development governance issue. This conference will provide a unique opportunity to shape the efforts toward disaster preparedness and risk management for effective response and to build back better in recovery, rehabilitation and reconstruction. This conference will provide single platform for meaningful exchange of information and sharing of ideas and also coordination amongst the stakeholders to bring greater synergies in the efforts by all stakeholders based on their experiences. I urge all the stakeholders to discuss and work together for reducing the disaster risks and to make Asian region a safer place for sustainable development. I once again welcome you all to India and wish this conference all the success. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for your warm welcome remarks.
Prime Minister, ministers, ambassadors, distinguished delegates, it is an honor to be here today to address you at this opening ceremony. Before making a few remarks, I would like to read to you a message from the United Nations Secretary General on the occasion of this important conference. The message begins, I am pleased to convey my warmest greetings to the Government of India on hosting the Asian Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction in collaboration with the UN Office for Disaster Risk Reduction. This important conference will set the direction for implementation of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction over the next 14 years. The adoption of the Sendai Framework marked a crucial contribution to the articulation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. With the subsequent agreement on the Addis Ababa Action Agenda, Paris Agreement on Climate Change, and last month, the new Urban Agenda, the world now has the tools and guidance required to achieve sustainable development, eradicate poverty, and build peaceful societies that leave no one behind. The journey from Sendai continues here in Delhi, where the outcomes of your efforts will influence the disaster risk reduction agenda, not just in Asia, but in the world at large. Asia faces formidable challenges in managing disaster risk. Those include poverty, environmental deterioration, seismic risk, climate change, and population growth in especially vulnerable areas. Yet Asia has also achieved remarkable progress in facing these threats by systematically improving policies, investing in institutions, and enhancing national capacities. Perhaps the most important driver of disaster risk is weak disaster risk governance. Clear vision, plans, competence, guidance, and coordination are essential. Many of you are already taking steps to ensure that your national disaster management agencies are focused not just on managing disasters, but also managing the risk which can lead to those disasters. I'm confident that this conference will bring further improvements in your already considerable efforts to reduce disaster losses across the region. I wish you every success. The Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. Mr. Prime Minister, ministers, ambassadors, distinguished delegates, this is the first Asian Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction since the UN World Conference hosted by Japan in March last year, when the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction was adopted. The Sendai Framework emphasizes the importance of moving, as we've heard, from managing disasters to managing disaster risk if we are to achieve substantial reductions in disaster losses. In this region, many countries have integrated disaster risk reduction into their overall development planning, and there's a growing understanding of the importance of a risk-sensitive approach to major infrastructure investments in both the private sector and the public sectors. In order to achieve a substantial reduction in disaster losses by 2030, there is a clear need to build on Asia's success in reducing mortality from floods and storms in particular. And as we look towards the deadline of 2020 for the delivery of substantial increases in national and local plans for reducing disaster risk, we must embrace other elements of the 2030 development agenda. There's a clear opportunity to avoid duplication of effort by ensuring that plans for climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction complement each other and make the best use of available resources. Success in building sustainable cities will help reduce disaster losses, and Asia is already home to 53% of the world's urban population. Well-managed, hazard-resistant cities offer great opportunities for economic development and access to basic services, including health and education. The Sendai Framework recognizes the importance of regional platforms such as this and its supporting mechanism, the ISDR Asia Partnership. This regional collaboration is absolutely vital for strengthening disaster risk governance, which of course is a key Sendai priority. Understanding disaster risk is also vital. We need policies and practice that take account of disaster risk in all its dimensions of vulnerability, capacity, and exposure of persons and assets. In summary, these and other priorities for action of the Sendai Framework and delivering on those priorities is what has brought us here this week at this critical meeting. On behalf of UNISDR, I want to very sincerely thank the host government of India for its hospitality and for making this important gathering possible. The expected outcomes of the conference are an Asia regional plan for implementation of the Sendai Framework. Second, a political declaration that reiterates the commitments of governments to disaster risk reduction, and also, fundamentally important, stakeholder action statements containing various initiatives to reduce disaster risk. These outcomes will reaffirm the region's leadership on disaster risk management and provide important input to the global platform for disaster risk reduction, which will be hosted by the government of Mexico in May of next year. I very much look forward to engaging with many of you in the coming days on this exciting agenda and also in the months ahead. And I want to thank you for your commitment, your attention, and wish us all a very successful conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Robert Glasser, for your kind address and also for sharing with us the UN Secretary General's pertinent message on disaster and risk management. You also gave us a very succinct overview of the UN's will and commitment in creating and sustaining safer environments. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to now invite Mr. Toshihiro Nikai, Secretary General, Liberal Democratic Party member from Japan, and may I please request him to kindly address us.
ただいまご紹介をいただきました日本国衆議院議員自由民主党幹事長の二階俊博であります。この度アジア防災閣僚会議においてご挨拶の機会を得まして大変光栄に存じます。本会議実現のためにご尽力をいただきました国連国際防災戦略事務局およびインド政府および多くの関係者の皆様に心から敬意を表したいと思います。この度のアジア防災閣僚会議は昨年3月の